Oizvov. So the Rebbe explains now that while the level of Torah, and we call the level of Torah, we call the Tal and the Motor, the two levels. And Tal is Mamshich, the Gimel Rishones, which is higher than Is Arusa de Letato. It comes Milomailo, just like the Tal. That's the Gimel Rishones of Atik. But still, the person becomes a Keli for that which comes Milomailo, uh, for it to come down, and the place, it's not only that he's Mamshich the Tal Torah above, but that level of the Tal Torah comes down in his Torah that he is learning. So what it means, even though his learning is not the Hamshoche, because it comes Milmailo like the Tal, but still it is Nimshach in his Torah. Let's look inside. V'hinei k'moi shetal kipshuto. Just like Tal, literally, yored v'nimshach lamata. It comes on its own. It's not isarusa de letato, but it descends and it extends below. It comes down into this world. K'maikein hugam b'tal Torah. Likewise is with the Tal Torah. It's not like he's mamshich a level of gimel rishonis and it stays somewhere above. But no, shehu nimshach umizgala lamata, that extends and is revealed below. B'Torah she'odam loimed, the Torah that the person learns, the Tal Torah, the Gimel Rishonis, extend and revealed in his Torah, which means, in addition to the Eibishter learning Torah, the Tal, the Nois Efal Zeh, the Zeh she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yeshev V'Osev B'Torah. In addition to the fact that the Eibishter learns Torah, which is the Gimel Rishonis, the Tal of Torah, B'chinas Tal of Torah, Unisinas Koyach LeOdam, Sheyuchol Lasik B'Torah, that gives, the Rebbe spoke before, that gives the person the power so that he should be able to occupy himself in Torah, and Vishal Yidei, and his occupation, Al Yesek HaTorah Shaloi, and when he learns Torah, Yiyah Baruch Hu Kodev V'Sheni Kenegdoi, he should be able to elicit that the Eibush there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, should read corresponding to him the Isarusa de Litata, to bring the Isarusa de Le'ela. How does the person get the koyach that when he is going to learn Torah, the Eibishter is going to learn Koyre v'shoyne kenegdoi? That comes because of the Tal Torah. Besides that hamshoche, the Tal of Torah, the Gimel Rishonos are nimshach. In addition to that, also in the Torah that is learning. Hinegam ha'inyan the Tal Torah atzmei. It's not only that the Tal Torah gives the koyach for the person later on to learn Koyre v'shoyne, should be Koyre v'shoyne kenegdoi, but that itself, Gamin Taltin Atzmai, Nimshach Umizgal Lemato, that extends and is revealed below, Bahatoida Shaltum Loimit, in the Torah that the person is studying. The Hamshochas HaTorah, the Lamailo, Bahatoida Shaltum Loimit. Now we have the Motor and we have the Tal. So basically, when a Yid learns Torah, he has the motor, which is the koire v'shene kenegdoi, but he also has the tal, the level of tal Torah, the gimel rishonis as well. The mamshoch has Torah, the lemailo bat Torah shodom loimet shnei inyonim. You have two inyonim. HaTorah kemoshi bezayin tachtoinas the atik, the Torah as it is in the seven lower levels of atik, which is motor the Torah. How do you bring that level down? That takes place. His Asek HaTorah of the Adam elicits, brings down the Zayin Tachtoinus of Atik to come down to his Torah. The Kivon Shezayin Tachtoinus, the Atik Mislapshim Ba'arich, since the 7 lower levels of Atik dress up in Arich, which is the Shoyresh HaHishtalshlus, that is the root of Hishtalshlus, the Arich, and Lochein, that's Keser, the way it's already Shayches to Hishtalshlus, Lochein, Chitzonis, that's Arich, Lochein Eisek HaTorah de Ha'odom, Hu Yisarusa de Letato Shema'ir Rumamshe B'chinazu. That's why the occupation of the person in Torah is the isarusa de latato, the arousal from below that arouses and extends that level. So because it is a connection, that's the motor of Torah. But Torah Kamoishehi is the second level, Begimul Rishon is the Atik. That's in a higher level. The Oisek Torah does not elicit that, it does not have this Rusa Latato. You have the 3 Rishon is the Atik, Tal Torah. That doesn't come through the person. That's not kol hakoyde v'shoyna. That comes milmayla. However, it comes down into the Torah that the person learns. Amshocha b'chinazu milmayla. That comes from above, not through his rusul tata. Be'esek haTorah de ha'odam. So, what is the person's occupation? What does he accomplish with his learning Torah? That's not eliciting it. What does Esek haTorah is rak keli. He creates a vessel. The Tal Torah that comes on its own extends and is revealed in the Esek HaTorah, but it's not that he elicits it. That comes down on its own. But where does it come down to? It comes down in his Torah. Those are the 2 inyonim. He gets in his Torah, he gets the motor, the geshem, Yarav Kamotor Likhi, and Tizal Katal. The Tal, that's the higher level, the Gimel Rishonis about it. And the Rebbe says, the Rebbe says that really, the real Keli for Tal Torah is not just any study of Torah, but it's Pnimiyus HaTorah. V'yeshloimar, the Zeh Shalimud HaTorah de Ha'odam, Hu Keli Tal Torah, can say that when a person learns, he becomes a vessel to the Tal Torah. It's mainly when a person learns the inner part of Torah. The inner part of the Torah becomes the keli to receive the Tal Torah, which comes higher from the Gimel Rishon Sabbatic. The kiv on shepnimiyas haTorah gam k'moishinim shcholamat. Since the inner part of Torah, even as it's already extended below. It's a tree of life. It's higher than the idea of having to sort out. The Eitz Hadas is Toivara. It's a mixture. You got to pick out the Toiv from the Ra. But Eitz HaChaim, that's no Birurim, that's higher. L'chein, he k'moi kli le'etzem HaTorah. So that's why it becomes a vessel to the essence of Torah, that is higher, the level of Torah, which is higher than being connected to Ishtalshlus. This is the Gimel Rishonis, because that doesn't come down to Arich, and only design Tachtoinus of Atik or not Arich. Gimel Rishonis, the Atik Sheina Mislapshim Ba'arich, that they don't dress up in Arich, which is the idea of Tal Torah. So the Rebbe was Machadish over here, that the Tal Torah, mainly what becomes the Keli to it. So B'chlal, the limud of Torah is not a listening, it's not Zerusa Latata, that's only the Zayin Tachtoinas that dress up in Arich, that becomes a Shaykhis to Ishtauslu, so the person can bring it down. We're talking about bringing down the Gimel Rishonis, that comes down by itself. Where does it come down? So the Rebbe says it mainly comes down in the Pnimiyus HaTorah. And this is going to explain to us also the 2 girsas in the Maimer Azal. Bapizeh, yesh levayir hakesher d'shnei hagirsois. We can explain the connection between the two versions, the Maimer Azal, in the saying of our sages of blessed memory. So there's two girsa. It says Kol HaMishtamish Ba'oir Torah. Anybody who uses the light of Torah, it says Oir Torah Mechayehu. The light of Torah vitalizes him. That's one girsa. The other girsa is Tal Torah Mechayehu. Shagirsa b'Gemara he Oir Torah. The version of the Gemara, what gives him life is the Oir Torah, and the girsa and the Yalkut he Tal Torah. So the Rebbe says the Eshloimar. So we can say She'oir Torah u'pnimiyas HaTorah. What it says Kol HaMishtamish be'oir Torah, the Oir Torah Mechayeh. What is the light of Torah? That is Pnimiyas HaTorah. She'oir Torah u'pnimiyas HaTorah. And the limud Pnimiyas HaTorah, that's why in the Yalkut it's more lotion of tal, because the oil of Torah. So it's basically they're talking about Pnimis HaTorah. Both are talking about the Torah. The oil Torah is Pnimis HaTorah, and I guess Kol HaMishtamish be'oil Torah, which would mean learning Pnimis HaTorah, oil Torah Mechayehu. That's the oil Torah, which is the Tal Torah, and the two Gersois. That is the keli for the Tal Torah, as the Rebbe said that the Pnimiyas HaTorah before is mainly a keli for the Tal of Torah. So these are, the Rebbe explained in Vav, the two levels that come down in Limud HaTorah. One is the Sarusa de Latata, you bring down the Zayin Tachtoinus in Torah, and also the Gimel Rishonos that come on their own, but their keli is in the Torah that the person learns. That becomes the vessel for that oir that is nimshach on its own. And more specifically, the Rebbe says that Tal Torah has more shaykhs to the Pnimis HaTorah, and that's why it's oir Torah and Tal Torah, the two girsas, because they're basically Pnimis HaTorah that is mechaya, is the keli for the Gimel Rishonos. So this, we're saying that the Tal Torah comes down all the ways below. But the Rebbe says now, even though davening is the elevation, Isarusa de Latata is the Sulamutz of Artzes the Rebbe spoke before, but we also bring in Torah also the Hamshocha Milmayla Lamata, even though generally it's the elevation, but bring them Milmayla Lamata. The Rebbe is going to explain how the opening of the davening, Hashem Sfosei Tiftach, is actually the part of Torah within the davening, Zion. Similar to what in Torah it comes down Lemato, the same thing is in Tefillah, Hagam, the Tefillah is to elevate, to go up higher. It also brings down and comes down Lemato. Although generally davening is to elevate from below to above, it also has in it extending from above to below. The Rebbe is going to go into now a whole explanation how it's showing that the first posik of Adnai Shem Sfosei Tiftach refers to the level of Torah within the davening. The idea of the Hamshocha Milmai Lamata, which is in davening, the Hascholas Tfilas Shmoyne Esrei, the beginning of the prayer of the 18th, the 19th, the brachas of the Amida, Shehi Iker HaTefillah. That's the main davening, is the Shmoyne Esrei. How do we start it off? The pasuk Hashem Svosa Adnai Svosai Tiftoch Ufiya Gitilasecha. Hashem, open up my lips and let my mouth say your praises. Tamiras pasuk zeh, when we say this pasuk, it's not just an introduction before you start davening. You're sort of praying to Hashem to make your prayer successful. No, it's more than that, because otherwise that would be an interruption. You can't be, you have to be seimech geula litfila. So how do we say Hashem's Sfosei Tiftoch? So the Gemara says that's actually, it's not the Hagdoma elas cholos atfila atzma. That's the beginning Kedis of the Gemara. The Gemara says Shu Ketfila Richta. It's like a long davening. It's not a Hagdama, but it's a Tfila Richta. It's part of the davening. So that's the beginning. So let's look at the meaning of Hashem's Sfosei Tiftoch, and we'll see that actually it connects to Torah. Here we're talking about Tefillah, and we see, according to the Targum, it actually has to do with more the level of Torah, which is the level of Hamshocha. So the Targum ala posik Hashem Sfosei Tiftoch Pirush. In the Targum on the verse Hashem Sfosei Tiftoch, he explains Sefoisai Pesach Bo'iraisa. Open up my lips in Torah. Hainu. So what does that mean? The Habakoshe Shebepasuk Zeh Shebetchilas Atfilahi. What's the request in this pasuk at the beginning of the davening? Shahat Tefillah, that the prayer Ufiyagi Tilosecha. I am going to pray. My mouth is going to say your tefillah. So what is he asking for? That Hashem's Sfosei Tiftoch, that it should be like Torah. Tia k'may Torah. Hashem's Sfosei Tiftoch be'eraisa. Open up my lips in Torah that I'm going to daven on. What is this comparison? K'may shabbat Torah. Just like Torah. Ha-Torah sha'odom loimed hudvar havayim. The Torah that the person learns, that's God's words. It's not the person, it's Hashem's words. It's the Vorai Asher Samti Beficha. Those are my words that I put in your mouth, you're saying, but those are words of Hashem. A person, the person that the Gemara says, he is like responding. Somebody reads and you respond. So when you're reading the Torah, you're responding to Hashem. It's like Hashem is reading you, you're responding. It's not your words, you're just as a response. It's Hashem's words. So we're asking that the davening should be in a way that my mouth shall say, relate your praise, not as I am saying your praise, but it's the words of Hashem. That the prayer of the person should be loyat tefillah shaloi, should be his davening. Elorak shal yodo tumshach, only his prayer, through his prayer should extend. Yagid meloshn hamshocha, fi yagid, my mouth should draw down your praises. I will draw down the praises, not because I'm saying the praises, but I'm just mamshich the praises that there is about the Eibishter, which is Tfilos Shlakadosh Baruch Hu. This is the Eibishter's davening. So you see, you're starting off the davening by saying, not your elevation, but your davening should be like the words of Hashem. What does this mean? And the Rebbe is going to explain now the story of the Gemara about how the Rav Chia Ubanov, he put them to the Amid, and their prayer started to be right away fulfilled. I was going to explain why all of a sudden then, whereas we'll see a very interesting explanation of that piece of the Gemara. And this is understood when we explain about what the davening is, that the davening is actually the words of Hashem, as the Rebbe explains. So, to understand this idea more detail, Yuvan Apimadi Gemara will understand it based on what we find in the Gemara. When Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, he heard Melio Hanovi from Elio Hanovi. Sharab Chia Bonov Hem Dugmas Ha'ovis. That Rabbi Chia and Bonov, Rabbi Chia and his sons are such a high level that they are compared to the forefathers, to Avram Tzum Yaakov. Hamid Oisam Rebbe Lifnei HaTeva. So Rebbe put them in front of the Amid, they should lead the services. So Omar, when he said Mashiv Haruach, B'noshiv Zeko. So the wind started to blow when he said, Moirid Geshem, Mitra, there started to rain. So everything that they said became fulfilled right away, literally. He said to Ashivaru, the wind started blowing. Geshem, Moirid Geshem, started raining. So he was about to say, Kimoti Lemeimer is about to say, Mechayi HaMesim. So Mesim were, Rogash Olmo, the world started shaking. Excitement in the world, what's going. And I think what it relates over there that it didn't happen. Gemara says over there that they wanted to punish Eliyahu. They punished Eliyahu for revealing the source, and he came, confused them, so they couldn't say, and so he stopped them. But nevertheless, it's a very fascinating story that at that particular time, when they were saying, they brought about this tremendous level of their prayer. So because of Al-Shich, so the Al-Shich writes, Habakoshe Hashem svosai tiftoch ufiyagi tilasecha shebalcholas tfilas shmene esrehi, that when we say Hashem, open my lips, I should say the tefillah is what we're asking Hashem, shetfilasenu tiyeh k'mei tfilas Rab Chiya Bonov. We should pray like Rab Chiya Bonov. Open up my lips, we can say, we can daven like Rab Chiya Bonov. So now, let's understand, what is Rab Chiya Bonov? So, move on, so it's not understood. How could we possibly say, how is it fitting to say, that when we daven, tiyeh k'tfilas Rab Chiya Bonov should be like the prayer of Rab Chiya Nisan. Especially based on what the Gemara says, that they were almost like the forefathers. How could we say that we're asking Hashem Tiftach, we should be like the forefathers, just like Bechia and his sons? So, what does the Al-Shich mean that we should asking Hashem to be like Reb Chia and his sons? Then the Rebbe asked another question. Why only then? Reb Chia and Bonav were davening all the time. Why wasn't there Tchis HaMesim every day? We also need to understand that Reb Chia and Bonav they davened every day. Yet, they actually, what extends, what came down through the prayer of Reb Chia and his sons, which is Noshiv Zika, the wind blew, Asimitra, the rain came down, Rogash Alma, the world started, the excitement with Tchis HaMesim. That only took place. Rebbe put them by the Ahmed before the box and lead the services. That's when it all started. Well, why? Why not all the time? Through the fact that they davened in front of the box leading the services, they were the agents of the community. They had in their prayer the power of the community. The betfilas rabim, because when we talk about the prayer that comes from the many, a minyan, tfilas tzibur, ksiv hein kel kabir beloy yimas. Kel kabir, the strong Hashem, does not reject, does not refuse the prayer of a minyan. And because they were davening with a minyan, so that's made the impact. But wait a minute. But they daven, the minyan davens every day. If it's the power of the minyan, so why didn't it help all the time? And if it's the power of the sons, why doesn't it? The Rebbe says it's a combination. Let's see. Even though there is a communal davening every day, and the reason why it was this prayer that brought about the blowing of the wind, Reb Chia Ubonov, that was because of the advantage of Reb Chia and his sons, Shehoyu Dugmas Ovis. They were similar to the forefathers. Mekol Mokoim, the Rebbe says, so it means it is Take because of Reb Chia Ubonov, which were similar to the father, but they needed to be the Tfilas Tzibur. Mekol Mokoim, Gam b'Tfilas Reb Chia Ubonov. Also, when Reb Chia Ubonov pray on an ordinary day, that wouldn't happen. But in order for it actually to start blowing the wind, it's dafke when they were agents from the community. So sort of you needed both of them. So how do we explain that? But this is all going to explain Hashem's Fasei Tiftach. We're asking, how are we asking to pray like Rabbi Chia and his sons? And here we're trying to figure out how come it only then Rabbi Chia, what are the other times? If it was the minyan and both together, what exactly happened there? So the Rebbe says, you can explain it based on what we know. The anytime we every bakosha we say in the Amida and the Shemona Esrei, we say, "Blessed you Hashem," we make a bracha. How could you make a bracha if you're not sure? Say, Baruch Atah Hashem. Shemei Tfilo or any bracha, but how do you know? You make a bracha v'tov. It means that it's muchach, it's evidence because you say that. Shegam b'tfilas yochid, even when it's an individual davening, ein shum sofek klal, there is not even a doubt at all. Shakadosh Baruch Hu memales bakoshosei, that Hashem will fulfill your request because you say Baruch Atah Hashem. So what's the difference between kel kabir lo yimos when we talk about a minyan? Ela shebetfilas yochid efsher liyos shehahashpoa tumshach loy lemaylo. When an individual davens, maybe the flow, what you're asking for is Shem is going to give it to you, but it's going to be above. It's going to be extended to you above. Or sometimes it can also come down here below. But only in a spiritual level, not in the physical level, what you really need. And what's the advantage of the communal davening? Which is always wanted, it's always accepted. He nimsheches gam lamato v'gashmis, that the flow extends also below physically. The prayer of the community, there are several steps, many different steps. The more that you need a bigger request, especially when the community that davens are not fit, they're not vessels fit for that request what they're asking. You need a stronger prayer. And also that the one who leads the service, Zokin should be elder, or Yamuflik should be tzibur, the oldest of the community. Those are conditions brought out who is worthy of being a shliach tzibur, as a Zokin, or the oldest, so that his prayer should be accepted, because we need more power to be able to accomplish the requests that we need, especially we need a big request. So we could have explained, as it relates to Reb Chia and his sons, the fact that through their davening, when they were leading the services, when they were agents of the community, the wind blew and the rain came down the Gashmish physically, it's mostly because of the advantage that it's a minyan, it's the tefillah of the many. But even when there is a tefillah b'tzibur, especially when you're asking something very big, which the community isn't deserve it. So we need somebody whose prayer will be listened to. So that is the combination of the minyan and the sons of Rabbi Chia, because they were asking for something big. They needed rain over there. It was a drought. Asking something big, so therefore they needed to have a good Baal Tefillah, somebody worthy, a Zakin. So the Rebbe says, but it's not Avobir Ze'enin Maspik. That's not sufficient explanation to explain this. Because here we're attributing it mainly to the minyan. And we're saying you just need a good Baal Tefillah. Avobir Ze'enin Maspik. This is not sufficient. Since we're saying Rabbi Chia and his sons were similar to the forefathers, mashma, so from this it appears the fact that through their davening the wind blew and the rain came down, that is because of their great advantage, because of their greatness. That their prayer is listened to like the prayer of the forefathers, not just because they were the shliach tzibur and praying for the community, but it's their prayers that accomplishes that. But yet, and still, while when they davened not as a shliach tzibur, it didn't happen. That took place dafke when they were a shliach tzibur. So basically, the Rebbe is going to explain now that it's mainly because of their level of davening of them that they were on a high level like the others. But in order to accomplish it, had to be with a minyan.